everyone. Hope you're all doing well this week. Sorry for the slight delay in getting this up. I was traveling yesterday, so was a little bit of a crazy day, but just wanted to get our summary from last week up and rolling. So I'm actually going to zip over to the classroom here quick. One thing I do want to do quickly is we have a new student. I know it's a little late to be welcoming a new student to our class considering we're in week 3, but she is from my on-ground class. So she's been plodding along with me in the classroom here in Moon, but she's going to be joining our online classroom. Everyone welcome Erica Hearn. She's going to be in our online class for the rest of the term. So you'll see her in the discussion boards and in our Flipgrid and whatnot moving here on out. And in our, I think we do have one more group assignment that we'll have this term. So welcome Erica. I'm glad to have you here in the online world. And we'll miss you in the classroom, but happy to have you here in our online class. So a little bit about our work from last week. So I just wanted to touch briefly on the discussion board. So we talked about mission, vision, and values and how important that is in the in the kind of the overall culture of the organization. So everyone went out and found mission, vision, values for an organization, and then talked about how that information lives or doesn't in their maybe on their online presence or in their operations if it's an organization that you know personally. So it's amazing how you can see how if an organization posts that in their mission that they're very dedicated to maybe the community and that they provide a great service to the community and they're very focused on patient-centered care and those types of things, yet you look at their web feed, you look at their website, you look at the activities that they have, the services that they provide, and they don't seem to do any of that. Then you would say that there's kind of a disconnect. Maybe they're providing lip service in their mission and vision, their values, because they don't really seem to do any of those items in what you're seeing. But generally, what I was seeing in the discussion boards is most of the providers and organizations that you found kind of walked the talk. They were truly following what they were stating in their mission and vision in the activities that you were seeing in their social media feeds, in their services, and then for those of you that were personally familiar with the organizations, in their actual operations and activities. So that's good. That's a good thing, and it's plays into strategy, and that they're truly living their culture, building their culture around their mission, vision, and values. So that's a great step in the right direction. And so looking forward to the kind of the other side of our work for last week had to do with some ethics, some ethical issues and our case study. So I'm looking forward to digging into those. If you haven't already, and I've got a ton of them, but I haven't looked at the list and how the list matches up with which ones I have. But if you haven't already, please go ahead and send your self and peer assessment evaluation forms to me. It's important for us to keep track of how people are performing as a group. Group assignments are difficult, be it in the online setting or the on-ground setting. I use those assessments in both classrooms, and it's important for us to keep track of how everybody is performing in those roles, especially if we have a group where there's 5 people in a group, 4 people worked on the project, 1 person didn't work on the project at all. That person that didn't work on the project should not get credit for working on the project. So those assessments are invaluable to me in those ways. Okay, so I do want to go over a few of the quiz questions from last week. So the first one, which of the following is not a potential barrier to successful execution of a strategic plan? I'll apologize to Erica. She'll have to listen to some of these over again. She had to hear them in class today. So which of the following is not a potential barrier to successful execution of a strategic plan? There were several options, but the answer was not enough strategies to implement. So in our text, remember it talked about how when you're putting your strategic plan together, you're going to have your analysis phase. So you're going to do a SWOT analysis or some other similar analysis, five forces analysis, etc. You're going to have that analysis phase. Then you're going to move into strategy formulation. And when you do that, you're going to make some choices on what you're going to do, how you're going to make a choice for strategy. What are your options going to be? And when you're creating that strategy formulation phase, or when you're in that strategy formulation phase, you may choose one strategy that you're really going to focus on, or you may choose five. So there's no minimum. There probably is a maximum, though, because you don't really want to go overboard. You don't want to have 10, 15 strategies that you're trying to implement, because you really want to be able to manage it. But you may only have one thing. Maybe you're looking to expand your emergency department, or maybe you're looking to open a daycare center to assist with your workforce, to be able to have a place for their children to go. So you may just have one thing that you're really focused on, and that one thing could be your strategy for that time period. So a potential barrier to successful execution of a plan is not having enough strategies to implement, because even just one strategy would be great. As long as you have strategy to implement, having too many strategies might be a barrier, but not enough. So that's that first question. Next one, information on an organization's core capabilities is relatively easy to obtain. True or false? And the answer to that is false. So when you're thinking about core capabilities, this is when we're doing our assessment. And this is our internal assessment, internal evaluation of ourselves. So at the beginning of our strategic planning, we're analyzing things, and we're going to do internal and external environmental assessment. So we're doing internal environmental assessment. We're going to look at finances, we're going to look at volumes, we're going to look at all of this data. We're going to look at strategy from last time around, so our strategic plan from maybe 3 years ago, 5 years ago, and how did we perform as compared to that initial strategy? How did we perform initial to budget? How did things go there? So that's all going to be data. It's all going to be pretty easy to obtain. Should already be there. We should already have that data. Those are numbers. But then, when we're talking about core capabilities, that's when it gets a little more hairy. We're talking about kind of digging into things like interviews, surveys, focus groups, talking to leaders, talking to employees, really getting, maybe even talking to patients, really digging into what is this organization capable of doing, and especially with regard to whatever strategy we're contemplating to formulate. So it's not easy. It's probably the most difficult aspect of this environmental assessment. So the data pieces, pretty easy. This core capability section, not easy to obtain. So our answer, information on an organization's core capabilities is easy to obtain. That would be false, because it is certainly not easy to obtain. Next one. Which of the following is not part of the definition of healthcare malpractice? So we've got a bunch of answers here. Actually, we've got person in a healthcare profession, carelessness, overpayment, recklessness, and negligence. So when we're thinking about the definition of malpractice, we've got a person that's in the healthcare profession that is acting in a certain way. So they may be acting careless, reckless, or negligent. So those are all different parts of that definition of malpractice. However, one thing that is not part of the definition of healthcare malpractice is overpayment, because there may or may not be an overpayment in the case of malpractice. Sometimes when there's a situation where a physician or a provider knows that there's been some carelessness or negligence on their part, they may not even bill a payer because they know that something has gone awry. So there's not necessarily any payment. There will be no bill to a payer because they know that they were negligent in their care. So there's not overpayment is not part of the definition of healthcare malpractice. Healthcare malpractice is about a person in the healthcare profession being careless, negligent, or reckless in some way. So our answer in this case was overpayment, not being part of the definition there. The next question, organizational dashboard metrics should include a baseline, target, and time frame. True or false? So the answer to this is true. There's an example in our textbook of a dashboard metric. It was a kind of an empty dashboard. But anytime that you are going to have that kind of a dashboard metric, you're going to have, this is the type of document that you want your C-suite folks, your directors, all of those types of folks, you want them to have handy right on their desktop. When they get to the office in the morning, boop, they can pop this thing up and they'll be able to look at this, and it's going to tell them, okay, what was our starting points, their baseline, where's our target or our budget amount, and what's the time frame I'm looking at. So if I'm looking at, say maybe our strategy is that we're looking to increase volume in our emergency department. Here's our baseline, here's our target, and we're looking at this 3-month time frame. So, and ultimately, maybe we have some other things on that dashboard. Maybe we have time, waiting time listed there. We have, marketing campaigns. We know that we have a marketing campaign going on that lists out new billboards. Maybe we put a new billboard up that has waiting time, etc. So we can compare these marketing campaigns and overall wait time and be able to compare them back to those metrics. So in any case, what we always need in metrics is what is the baseline, what is the target, and what is our timeline. Those are always important to have in those metrics, in those dashboards, so that we know what those 3 pieces. You could have all kinds of other things in there, but having those 3 pieces, baseline, target, and time frame, those are really crucial. So our answer there was true. Last one, development of a strategic plan is most often done with a 1-year time horizon. So our answer here is false. When we talk about strategic planning, you might have short-term goals in your organization where you set these kind of shorter-term goals as a leadership group. But when we're talking about a strategic plan, this is going to be a longer-term horizon for your overall strategic plan. So they're typically 3 to 5 years out, and then you'll revisit them throughout that time period. Seeing, constantly, sorry, light just went off, constantly measuring where you're at to your overall goals, etc. But ultimately, it's typically 3 to 5 years, not just a single year in that time frame. So that's it for our quiz for this past week. This week we are working on the patient-centered care, patient as a consumer, as well as marketing. Marketing is the main focus for this week. So we have a marketing exercise as our discussion board, a traditional discussion board, because I want people to be able to share that marketing piece. And then also our writing assignment for this week is I think it's a regular writing assignment, actually. Let's pop back over to the classroom quick. I think it's a reflective writing assignment for this week. Yeah, a reflective writing assignment that is it's based on patient-centered care. So there's a short video here, and then also a couple of journal articles about patient-centered care. But I also have the slides that I used today in my on-ground class, and I'll pop those up in there too, up here with the readings. They might be helpful to you, especially the patient-centered care. There's quite a few in there on patient-centered care. and I'll pop those up in the classroom as well. They could be helpful. But so that's our class for this week. So if there are any questions as we're moving along, please let me know. I look forward to seeing the marketing that you find. If hopefully you're able to share it in the discussion board. Sometimes it's difficult to do so. If you need help, if you find a piece and you're having trouble trying to share it into the board, let me know. I can sometimes help. I have a few sneaky ways to be able to get things to post into the board. So I might be able to get it to post up into your discussion board if you're unable to. But if worse comes to worse, you can just discuss it, tell us about it. But hopefully for discussion purposes, it would be really nice if we can see your marketing up there. So I'm looking forward to chatting with everyone this week, and we'll see you all in the classroom. Thanks.